Good morning. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here, but an unfortunate one. I'm from New York. My name is Marc BERN. I'm the senior partner of the firm of BERN RIPKA. For over 40 years, I've practiced law. I've been involved in some of the worst tragedies that have befell this country. In 2002, we started representing over 10,000 rescue and recovery workers at Ground Zero. The heroes who were at Ground Zero, who were afflicted by all of the toxins of the toxic soup. They had pulmonary problems, cancers. But you know what? That pales today with respect to what is happening here in Flint. This is the United States of America. We haven't been attacked by foreign people. We've been attacked by those who are here in Michigan. And we put together a complaint for, in this case, on behalf of our hundreds of clients and on behalf of those afflicted here in Flint, with allegations that are entirely different than you've seen before, because we believe that we've uncovered a scheme which is going to make everybody in this country really think about what their government is doing and what they are doing for them and to them. And I have to say that the architect of that complaint and the allegations that were uncovered were done by my partner, Chet Kern. I'm going to have Chet give you the facts and why this is different and why we hope that not only the government of Flint, but our federal government will step in and help to rectify this as quickly as possible. No one here should suffer another day, another minute. No babies, no children in utero. No one should suffer another day. And for that, I want to turn this over to Chet. By the way, it's a great privilege to be working with Ari and with Solomon on this project. We're very lucky, and I guarantee you that we will bring the best representation to the citizens of Flint, the victims, the innocent victims. Thank you, Chet.
Thank you. It'd be very hard to follow the passion that Marc has, but I maintain the same passion for the citizens of Flint. It's beyond tragic. It's a catastrophe beyond, I think, anybody in this room's comprehension. I'm dumbfounded. I'm numbed by the facts that I hear and what's the suffering for the citizens of Flint. You've heard all about all the other lawsuits that have been filed. We all know about the personal injuries, the damage. Everybody knows lead is bad. I've had 37 years as a practicing attorney, over 20 years doing environmental lead paint cases, more than 150 of those. We're not going to see the full effects of the damages to the children until they get older, until they have to function in a grown-up world. The adults, they suffer too. Their injuries are serious, significant. Lead affects the kidneys. Lead causes blood pressure to increase. Lead causes cardiac problems in adults. How did it all happen? I think you all know that there was a switch to the Flint River as the main water source for the city of Flint on April the 23rd, 2014. Anybody have any clue why? Okay, I'll answer it. I'll answer my own rhetorical question. The city of Flint was being run by the state of Michigan, by emergency managers since 2011. The emergency managers reported to the governor, as did the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, as did the Michigan Department of Health and Human Health and Services. What is it about? Emergency managers, along with the governor, decided that the Detroit water, which had been adequate, safe, great for 50 years, was no longer a viable source because they wanted to save money. Why did they want to save money? Why is there an emergency manager? Well, you have this emergency manager statute that Governor Snyder put in place because, as Governor Snyder testified to in the congressional hearings, he wants to run the state like a business. Well, the citizens of Flint, as shareholders in the corporation of the state of Michigan, I don't think they were treated in an appropriate way. In order to connect to the Flint River, there were private engineering firms who issued reports in 2004, 2011, and before the hookup. There were employees of the city of Flint from the water treatment plant, Michael Glasgow, Howard Croft. They knew the water wasn't good. Mr. Glasgow wrote an email to the MDEQ. What did he say? We can't do this. We can't do this. They did it anyway. Why did they do it? They did it to balance the budget of the city of Flint. I don't know if the money went upstream to the state, but the state's running the city. Mayor Walling, a figurehead, he had good intentions, but he got up on day one and said, the water's good. Drink the water, the water's good. How many times were you told the water was good?
Many times.
How many hundreds of times were you told the water was good? And the people of Flint relied on what the state and the local people that were on the ground in Flint said was good and safe water. All to balance the budget. What a catastrophe. They balanced the budget. They did a great job. They balanced the budget. But they had an intentional scheme, and they coordinated systematic misrepresentations, denials between the MDEQ, the MDHHS, and the water treatment plant personnel and the manager, Howard Croft, to deny that the water was toxic until they couldn't deny it anymore. This couldn't have generated and couldn't have been done without a coordination throughout the state of Michigan. Somebody thought this through beforehand. The water bills in Flint, you've heard a lot about them, right? The highest in the United States. The highest water bills for these people. The highest water bills in the United States. Almost $900 a year. The average, anybody know what the average water bill is in the United States? Under $300. So, they hooked up to a free water source. 30,000 residential bills for water went out every month. Let's do the math. They billed until Mayor Weaver just suspended billing on March the 9th of this year, 2016. So during the time that they were hooked up to the free Flint water, didn't cost $1 for them to hook up to the Flint River. So they didn't have to pay the Detroit water, which was perhaps as much as $1 million a month, which was billed to the citizens of Flint, which was funneled back to the Detroit water. So they had this plan that they hatched. They had to cover the 2 years until the hookup to the KWA. You all know what KWA is? I don't want to mispronounce it. It's Karen Gundy Water Authority. I said it right? Thank you. They had a 2-year interstice. 2 years they had to figure it out, and they thought nobody had the intent to poison these good people. They didn't intentionally poison them, but they thought they could deny and get away with it. They thought they could get away with it, all in furtherance of balancing the budget. Well, let me tell you about the budget of the city of Flint. 2011, there was a budget deficit of nearly $20 million. Do you know by June 30th, 2015, anybody look on the City of Flint website? It's right there for you to see. There was a budget surplus of $3.3 million. Where do you think it came from? Anybody want to venture a guess? Anybody want to venture a guess? Hudson, you got a guess? The water bills. $2.7 million a month, approximately, maybe $50 million was billed during this period of time and collected. And you know how they went about this? Remember, this is a municipality that's trying to balance their budget. What they could have done, what they should have done, which would have been appropriate, is like you've heard about municipalities filing for bankruptcy to reorganize their debts. They could have done that, and they could have done it under the auspices of a federal bankruptcy judge. And they would have had a nice plan. And perhaps, if that happened, none of this would have occurred. Never would have occurred. Bankruptcy judge would have never allowed any of this. Emergency managers needed the permission from the treasurer and the governor before the switch to the Flint River. So what happened next? The city would bill for the water. How did they do the bills? Well, they billed through the mail, the U.S. mails. That's interstate commerce. They then had to collect the money. They collect the money. Well, ACHs. You know what an ACH is? Automatic debit to your checking account. Credit cards. Or you can just put simply mail in a check with a stamp back through the mail service. And again, you're in interstate commerce. If the checks get negotiated, that's through the federal banking system, through the wire system. And those are called predicate acts. I hope you all take the time to read the complaint, because the allegations in the complaint are logical to all of us here. The damages under that portion are for the return of the water bills. A lot of money. We estimate maybe $50 million. A lot of money. For the diminution in the value of the homeowner's property in Flint. The business owners who paid for water to run their businesses. A catastrophe out of a financial scheme to balance the budget? Wow. Wow. I am numb as I stand before you here, because it's mind-boggling the mess that's been created out of a simple municipal fiscal budget deficit. I'm happy to answer anybody's questions. We've pled in the lawsuit, and you'll be able to see it. But there is a civil statute called RICO, civil RICO. And attached to our lawsuit is a detailed, in the cause of action, there's in the RICO cause of action, it's very detailed, the steps and how we believe this occurred. And there's a RICO case statement also attached. It's very long, and it's very fact-laden. However, it's required by the courts. We're here to fight for the citizens of Flint. My partner, Marc, came to me, and we discussed this at length. I discussed this with Mr. Kresh at great length. And I said, I'm going to put my shoulders to the wheel, and I'm here, and I'm not going away until the governor, who has stepped up and accepted responsibility for the state's screw-up, the MDEQ, the MDHHS. Well, he's got to stick out his chest and accept responsibility and make things right for the city of Flint residents. And there's only one way to make it right. The federal government. I had a woman here who was the District 5 supervisor, a woman by the name of Susan Hedman. If you watched the congressional hearings, you saw and you know that Ms. Hedman resigned, as many, many people from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality resigned also. That would be the director, Dan Wyant, the communications head, Bradley Werfel, Leanne Schechter-Smith. Many people were forced to resign. Why did they resign? I guess they had no choice. I don't know. The federal government has been put on notice of our intention because, like everybody else, deny, they stuck their head in the sand. Remember Miguel del Toro? Everybody recognize his name? He worked for the EPA. He went to the EP, he went to Ms. Hedman. He went to the MDEQ. He went to the governor. He went to Dennis Muchmore. He told them, guys, there's a problem here. There's a problem. We got to deal with it. We can't stick our heads in the sand. Well, federal government did the same thing. President Obama declared a national emergency in Flint. I think it's time for everybody to step forward. And we hope to be able to quantify all of these damages, not only to the infants, not only to the adults, but you know, what really, really makes me crazy, on top of a fiscal budget, you know, a scheme to balance the budget, you know, this is kind of the gift that just keeps giving. Unbelievable. But you know that any woman of childbearing age who's been exposed to lead, and you look right in the Michigan safe water regulations in the reports from the MDEQ, they will pass it on to their child in utero. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's just going to keep going. When's it going to go away? How do we make it go away? Well, we're here to fight. I'm here to fight for the good citizens of Flint who didn't do anything wrong. All they did was justifiably rely on every representation that the water was safe. Nobody intentionally wanted the people of Flint to be poisoned. There was no intent to poison them. All of this came out of a scheme to balance the budget of the city of Flint. What year is this? My God, there are some questions. Just let me take some questions more.
Can you explain civil RICO and what the implications would be for Governor Snyder?
There are no implications for Governor Snyder. Civil RICO is civil, and what it amounts to is whatever damages are determined by the court will be tripled. Treble damages, 3 times the amount. So if a residence was worth $50,000, now it's worth $10,000, and we'll be able to quantify that. The difference is $40,000 tripled, $120,000 to that homeowner. Same thing for the return of the water bills, same thing for business owners. That's the civil RICO statute. And it's very specific as what's required to be able to prove it. We expect, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect in response to the civil RICO.
So could this affect Governor Snyder's personal finances? Or is this
He is, as you know, the governor and the other lawsuits, he maintains immunity. However, Governor Snyder is sued individually in our lawsuit, as is Dennis Muchmore, as is all the people from the MDEQ, the MDHHS, and the employees from the city of Flint, who all had the ability to stop this before it happened, including the private engineers, who you know, Rowe and Lan and Veolia. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned the emergency manager law, so I mean, is
Yeah.
the argument for the scheme that you're alleging that instead of using federal bankruptcy, they relied on this law that...
Okay, they had an option when because this was the second emergency manager statute. You know, there was the one that was repealed in 2012, and there were 200,000 signatures, and it was voted on by the citizens of the state of Michigan to toss that law. Well, very shortly thereafter, the governor wrote a new bill and was signed by the legislature immediately. It actually increased the emergency manager's powers, but it also said the following, that they have three options that they have to undertake. They have to consider mediation, conciliation, or filing for bankruptcy before they do anything. That was an option. That was a requirement. And when they filed the bankruptcy, okay, they misrepresented, if they filed the bankruptcy, they misrepresented the property of the debtor, which would have been the city of Flint, because the city of Flint was now going to be getting free water. They couldn't have filed the bankruptcy because the bankruptcy judge would have stepped in and said, you have to give them safe water. So there was predicates under the emergency manager statute which required the emergency managers to do certain things. One of the options was to file bankruptcy. Anybody? Yes.
What are examples where this statute has been used in similar cases? And did you succeed in getting, or did anyone succeed in getting damages for the plaintiffs?
There's been lots of civil RICO cases. Lots of civil
But
RICO
I mean,
cases.
similar to
I've never seen a set of facts like this. This is just unique. The complaint is really long, but the facts here, they kind of start out very generic, but the crescendo that this reaches at the end of 2015 and early 2016 is unheard of. This is going to be the centerpiece. This is not going away. You know, we all know about the problems in all the other cities that we're hearing about, and the infrastructure and the lack of money, and you're going to hear, oh, the lack of money, the lack of money, the lack of money. Well, civil RICO is powerful too. It is. It is.
You named 3 of the 4 emergency managers, but not Mike Brown.
Mike Brown was prior. He wasn't.
But he
Ed
did-
Kurtz. Ed Kurtz is the one who wrote the letter to Treasurer Dillon.
But Mike, you're talking about this as far as the financials. Mike Brown was involved in raising the rates on water and sewer, and also Mike Brown came in. He came in again after Ed Kurtz left.
Was it for a month or so?
It was for it was for an extended period.
I thought it was a very short time. And what happened was is that Emergency Manager Kurtz wrote the letter to Treasurer Dillon seeking his permission to disconnect from the Detroit water system. That disconnection didn't occur until April 2014, and that was under the watchful eye of Emergency Manager Early. I'm sorry.
Would any of your clients like to talk to us about why they are a part of the suit? Anybody want to talk? Don't be shy.
We're not that scary.
Anybody?
Step up, please.
Step right up.
And if you could do us a favor, if you can give us your name and where
I
you're
don't
from.
mind. At first I had an apprehension, but I'm okay now. My name is Lorene Haynes. In the midst of all of this, I have lost a husband and a daughter. My granddaughter is affected with the lead. She's having focus issues in school. The school is working with me. I'm working hard to get her life back on track. She's only 12. What's going to happen down the road, I don't know. I want to know. I need answers, and I don't know where to begin. That's what I have to say.
Ms. Haynes, can you spell your last name for us?
Haynes.
Anybody else?
I just want to make a couple of other comments, and Chet laid this out to you. This really is, it's filing a lawsuit is really a very easy thing. Generally, you make, say, a car accident. I was driving my car, the defendant was behind me, hit me from behind, and I've got a bad back, and I'm suing you for damages. This isn't that. Most of the lawsuits that have been filed to date in this case are like that. But this is different. This took hundreds and hundreds of hours and investigation to uncover this scheme. And we don't take filing a civil RICO case lightly. And that's why we waited. We could have filed a lawsuit weeks and even months ago. But we wanted to make sure that we were going to get every single person compensated, that we were going to get everybody what they deserve. And as Chet told you, the damages here can go on not only for a year or 2 years, but for generations. The tenor of this entire area has been changed forever as a result of this scheme. And that's why we worked hard to uncover the scheme, and that's why we're here today. It's the beginning of the baseball season. And this is opening day, and we're throwing out the first ball for everybody in Flint. And we're going to go all 9 innings until we win for them. And hopefully, this will be the end. Chet told you about the EPA. This isn't the first time. Unfortunately, there's a history of the EPA misleading human beings. A week after the towers fell in 9/11, the head of the EPA, Christy Whitman, came out and said, "That's all right, go down to that site. The air is fine, breathe the air." And it's caused tens of thousands of people all kinds of injuries. And now it's happened again, and it's happened here. And we hope it will never, ever happen again. And that's why we took the care and we did the investigation to bring the case like this. Hopefully, it won't happen again. But they say history repeats itself.
How many people have signed up?
Hundreds. We've had hundreds so far. Many hundreds. I wish we didn't have to say that we would expect hundreds, if not thousands more, but I think we do.
You made reference to the other lawyers who've been involved in cases. The city obviously has suffered from a lot of different problems and plagues. Are we now also dealing with a plague of lawyers who are taking advantage of this situation as well?
No, I'm just saying that we handle things differently. We look at things differently. It's very easy, as I said, just to say, you got bad water and now you're hurt. But we wanted to find out why. Why did this happen? And Chet was able to uncover the real facts, the real truth behind why there is such a tragedy here. That's the difference.
One other question. The governor's office filed, or the state filed a brief earlier this week trying to get a case dismissed, among other things claiming governmental immunity. How do you get around the governmental immunity argument in this case?
Well, we asked for prospective relief against the governor. We haven't, in the RICO claim, we haven't named anybody in their official capacity. They're named individually.
We do expect to be able to get around governmental immunity, hopefully. That should not be a shield here.
And I'll address that. There's something called the state-created danger doctrine. And these facts, I think, are sufficient to make out our case in the personal injury portion of our case against the state agencies, MDEQ and the MDHHS. HHS is correct, yeah. The governor and the state, they are sued prospectively, and that's for injunctive relief and a declaration from the courts, and we'll await as that unfolds in the very near future.
Was this filed in Genesee County Circuit Court?
This was filed in the federal court in Detroit, yes.
U.S. District Court,
Here.
Detroit or Bay City?
In Detroit.
It was actually filed in Flint, but it was transferred over to the Detroit court.
Well, Shooty's doing his own investigation and looking at a possible lawsuit on the state. He announced that a while back. Is this going to compete with that?
I don't think it competes in any which way. The city of Flint put the state on notice